Hello and welcome to Sunflower Sessions. My name is Emily, and today on the podcast, I want to talk about something a little bit different. My focus here is really just, seeing things more clearly. And clarity for me, clarity is not having everything figured out, but clarity is being able to see what is actually happening in our lives as seasons change. This episode is not about mastery, you guys. I have not mastered any of these things. And if any of you have, please let me know. Write the book on it and send it to me because I still haven't figured it out. But it really is just about noticing, about paying attention to what no longer fits and what is quietly asking to be reorganized. So, if you are in a season where what used to work does not anymore, this episode is for you. Many of us move into new seasons without realizing how much has shifted. I had someone tell me yesterday, there's a time in a season, and for some reason, I really hate that phrase. I want to be like, nuh-uh, no, there's not a time in a season. The time is now. The season is now. I can do this. It's almost like I don't like being put into a box and being told, you can't do this because of the season of life that you're in. And I don't like that. I really don't. So my response is always no, now is the time. Now is the season. And I'm learning to have a little bit more peace with there is a time and a season. And many of us move into these new seasons without realizing how much has shifted. Responsibilities have changed, energy changes, the rhythms that once created stability no longer hold the same way. Often the first thing that we lose is stillness, right? We're moving and moving and moving, and we're not slowing down because of that season that's changing. We're kind of focusing on survival. We lose the nourishment that comes from that stillness. And then what happens? Clarity. Clarity goes out the window. Being able to see things clearly. We're more in that survival mode. And we keep functioning. We keep showing up. But something inside us feels a little bit more scattered. Not because we're failing. No, we're not failing at all. But because we're trying to live in a new season inside of an old structure. This is where the idea of creation has been meaningful for me. We've been learning about creation this week. Not creation as productivity, but creation as intention. In the creation story, the world does not begin as ordered and complete. It begins without form, unorganized, not yet aligned with its purpose. Order is created slowly, deliberately, in stages, day by day. And that feels deeply human, right? We often expect clarity to arrive first, but clarity usually comes through engagement, right? Through small, intentional choices that help us see what actually supports us now. There's a concept in science that's called entropy, the idea that disorder is the natural state unless energy is applied to maintain order. This helps explain why life can feel so chaotic during transition. Order does not sustain itself. It must be created again and again. So right now I'm taking it's like a research methods class, child research methods. And right now I am focusing on one specific research question. When I was to pick my research question, I actually felt really overwhelmed at the time. This assignment was actually overdue. There was a lot going on that week. And for me, emotionally, it was just a heavy week. And I just felt a lot of overload. And I was wondering how maternal overload, I see all these women in the workforce today more than they have ever been before. And that's not something that I grew up with. My mom did have some jobs, but it wasn't something that I grew up with. So I'm really curious as to how this affects the family. And I've seen how it's kind of affected my family. And I kind of look at other moms that are working and I'm just okay, so how are you okay? Because like I'm trying to figure this out and I'm only working like, maybe 3 days a week and I don't have it figured out. So if you want to tell me how you're doing this, that would be awesome. Because that's kind of how I feel, is just like I see everyone, I'm like, how are you okay? Like, how does your family system work? That's what I really want to know. So this just inspired other questions. And so my research question for my family research methods class is, how does maternal overload affect emotional availability for their children from the kindergarten age all the way up till 12th grade, right? So in that school aged range, how does it affect those children? And how does it affect family systems and things like that? So I'm researching this right now. I'll let you know how it goes. I'll keep you updated. When I'm talking about role overload, that's what happens when the demands placed on a person exceed their available resources. One of the first things role overload impacts is emotional availability. Not love, not commitment, but presence. When life becomes disorganized, people often find themselves reacting more and connecting less. Not because they care less, but because survival leaves little space for intentional creation. Creation in this sense is not about doing more. It's about organizing what already exists. We have time, we have our energy, we have our attention, we have our care. When those elements are scattered, life feels heavy, right? When they're aligned, even imperfectly, things begin to feel clearer. Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he talks about creation happening twice. First in the mind, and then in the physical world. Many of us are standing in that first phase. We can sense what we want, more peace, more margin, more emotional space, but we are living in the in-between. For me right now, I am definitely in the in-between, and it is messy, you guys. It's uncomfortable. This is the space where the old structure of what was working for our family system is no longer working. And we need to find something that does work, or our system is going to kind of go into failure. And I don't want to say failure, but it's unfinished creation. Maybe this season is not about adding more, but it's about seeing things more clearly, letting go of what no longer fits, and creating slowly, okay? Trusting that clarity comes through small, repeated choices. If you are in that space, like me, you're not behind, okay? You're not broken. You're in the process of being reorganized. And I feel like that's a really meaningful place to be. And I think it takes practice and patience. And that is something I'm really working on right now. I am absolutely inconsistently consistent right now. And that's something that I want to work on. Moving into this new season of life for me, where all my kids are in school and I'm starting to take on more as a mother, take on more roles. I've noticed some things fall, like home organizational systems definitely fall behind. And I think that that's okay. But I've also noticed something where my kids are stepping up more. And that's been really, really cool to kind of see them grow in that. But sometimes that mom guilt creeps in and it feels like, wait, I should be making dinner tonight, and you look at other moms who seem to have it all together, and sometimes that comparison can be hard. I think just taking it easy on yourself and learning that creation is a process and it's an ongoing process. And I think anyone that has created a chore chart knows, like, that system, once it's done its job, it's not that system fails, because you will go throughout your life as a mother and think, okay, now this system will work, and maybe it'll work for a minute, and then it doesn't. And I think the reason why it doesn't is not just because sometimes those systems are imperfect and maybe they actually didn't work for your family, but I think it also happens because your family system is a growing and living thing that constantly changes depending on seasons of life and ages and things like that. And you have to be adaptive, right? As ages change with children and as you grow and mature, like, things just change and seasons of life change. And I think it's okay to accept that as like, that wasn't a failure, but now this is going to work for us, and just kind of slowly working through that. And you'll find something that works longer and, is a little bit more simplified. I have learned that those things that are more simplified definitely work, but this just brings me back to creation is a process. Give yourself some grace as you go. That's definitely something that I'm that I'm looking at and trying really hard to work on. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I just want to reach out to all you mamas who keep trying and keep showing up and just keep pushing forward. I just want to give you all a hug and just tell you you are doing a great job, and to keep moving little by little, day by day, and know that your effort is really, really important. Keep choosing light, my friends. Have a wonderful day.